and gentlemen, we are live. Want to just give a huge shout out to everybody that has joined us before we've even set an announcement out. You are the real people doing this business, showing up every single day without being pinged is insane. That's dedication, that's discipline. All right, everybody, I'm going to start the stage. We're going to send out a couple of announcements here. We've got Mr. Josh Shane coming to join us today. This is going to be an exciting episode of Coffee with Closers.
It will be exciting. So this is a can't miss.
What's going on, John?
Miss episode today.
I just wanted to ask a question before Dan and Josh get into it. So let me see. I'm just reading this email real quick. Okay, so I need to send a deal to. I need to send a contract to title. Well, first of all, the builder has said that if I use an assignment, he wants to use his law firm, and if we use, let's see if the contract can be put in the builder's name, they can pay an invoice direct to me, basically for the assignment fee. And I've never dealt with that. I don't know if you guys dealt with that in the past. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, as long as it's in writing and it also gets documented at the title company, I think you should be able to maybe get an invoice. But he doesn't want to pay you through the title company. He wants to just pay you directly.
They said if it's basically a matter of what closing attorney we're going to use. If we're going to use his closing attorney, then we'll do an assignment. If we want to use mine, then he wants to do an invoice.
Why?
And I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, he wants you to put. Let's see if the contract for the agreed upon price with the seller, that would be put in the builder's name, and then they would do an invoice. So I didn't ask him. Not sure. Maybe because in the past, when we have done a deal together, we use a different title company, different closing attorney, and it didn't go well. So he prefers to. Maybe he wants control of the communication. Yeah, they're a big builder. They're one of the biggest regional builders in the state.
Interesting. I would still want something in writing.
All right. Okay. Yeah, interesting. I just never heard of anybody really doing that, paying an invoice instead of an assignment.
I don't really like that idea personally. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. Dante's saying you can put the invoice in title.
Yeah, I've done it instead of assignments, but it needs to go through title. It needs to go through title, not outside. That outside is no, it's too risky. Regardless if he's going to do it or not, absolutely not. It needs to go through title. There's a reason why we use title companies is to protect all parties.
Yeah, this is a closing attorney state, so I mean, same thing applies. But you're saying to submit the agreement to title with my name on it and just basically get paid to it. Get paid with that. Okay.
Right. So I did a sub-2 deal the wrong way my first time, right? And so in order to get paid out, it wasn't on an assignment. It was based off an invoice that you send over, the seller signs off on it, and then it comes out of title still. So if he's doing the invoice, that's cool, but it needs to still come through the title attorney and go through the escrow process, not on the side outside. So let him know you don't mind doing the invoice, but it still has to go through the title of attorney and come out of escrow.
Oh, okay, got it. Thanks, Dante. Thanks, John.
100%. It's awesome to see, man. You're still taking action and still making deals happen after all this time.
Yeah, still taking action. I got a question about that acreage deal you did. You got paid. Oh yeah, you put it on the market. Okay. I'm working on an acreage deal and working with developers, but they both have said one is a nationwide, one is a private builder developer. And they're both saying that it's going to take over a year to get zoning will have to be rezoned and permitted. And that's just something I've never dealt with before because this is a new county. So I had to reach out to new builders and developers. And I'm just curious how that works. Like that's a long time to get paid, like on an assignment fee, and never
Why
dealt
do
with
they
that
need
before. I don't know.
Why do they need to get zoning done before they can close on it?
Because they want to, I guess that's pretty standard practice for developers because they want to make sure that they're going to get approved to build the product they want to because it's not going to be the property is not going to be valuable or worth what they can pay if it can't get zoned for that. Uh, a lot of developers actually they go under contract. They go under contract with owners before direct with owners, and then they pay a fee. Usually, it's like they pay a fee up front and then pay a fee every few months until that zoning is done, until the rezoning is done, and then they close on it.
Gotcha. Yeah, Dante was suggesting maybe you could do something creative until it gets rezoned, and then that's when you get paid out. If I were to go back, knowing a little bit more that I know now, back to that other deal, I would have maybe tried to see, if it was like a developer and ask about what they were doing and see maybe if there was a way that I could get some sort of equity in the deal.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought about that. One's a publicly traded company, so I'm not sure if they would even, agree to something like that. But I'll think about that. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awesome. Man, we got 50 people joining us this morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get to the bottom here. We got Mr. Josh Chan joining us live today, ladies and gentlemen. My man, Josh Chan, how you doing today? You there? Josh is getting himself together here. We're going to get him unmuted, get his mic on. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know where you're at in the chat, on the side chat. Tell us where you're doing business and what you do. If you guys are flipping, let us know where you're looking to buy. If you guys are putting properties under contract, let us know where you are marketing. This is your opportunity to be in proximity with people that are actively doing this business, ladies and gentlemen.
Man, John's got the camera. John's got the camera on. John's got the camera on.
Nah, no moving federal today, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta get the camera on. I gotta get the camera. I don't know if I'm dressed appropriately for today's show.
Let's see. Where is Josh? Maybe rejoining here.
No, I wouldn't be joining the stream again. I promise that. I promise that.
What's up, bro?
Everyone.
How's it going, Josh?
How's it going, bro?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, John.
So yesterday, for anybody that's been paying attention to the chat, Josh is the owner of Kind Skip Tracing. He's the guy that I really shout out, because I've pulled using his data and I've closed deals, all around the board, up to 70K per deal, and the data works. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably the least expensive data, in comparison to the other bigger brands, that people talk about on the mainstream wholesale stuff, and it's got the same accuracy. Like, if I text somebody, the data is the right person. You know what I'm saying? I've never had a real problem with wrong numbers with Kind Skip Tracing. So I'm excited for you to join us, bro, on the live, and maybe there are some people in here that might have some questions about data, and we can kind of chop it up, and just give back to the community.
Yeah, bro. We can talk anything too, man. Real estate or anything, bro. Like even like me and Doss, man, we're closing on a $3 million real estate deal right now. That's 3 mil. I think net is gonna be like maybe like 2 million something on one deal. Doss is doing another deal where he's making $1 million net. We've done like probably like 20 deals where we earn 6 figures net. So like anything real estate related or whatever. For me, man, I do data for like the top 100 biggest home buying companies. National Home Buyer, James Jones, $20 million plus a year. I do data for Donovan Ruffin out in Dallas, Texas, doing $6 million a year. I do data for the All In guy, doing $8 million a year. Wholesale Shark doing $7 million plus a year. So yeah, just to name a few names, bro.
That's awesome, bro. Well, I'd love to open it up, ladies and gentlemen. This is your opportunity to ask those questions that you've got, throughout the day. Ask away. I
Yeah,
see
let's
one
open it
guy.
up.
One guy is asking to Josh. Samir's
Open it
asking,
up.
what happened to the motivated ASF lists on Kind? He said he was looking for those last night.
Oh yeah, we still have it. So basically, if you go on our website, cause we essentially created a self checkout on the data, right? So if you just go to so basically, if you go to the Kind Skip Tracing website, and you can give everybody the link, John. If you go to the Kind Skip Tracing website, then you can go to the ownership tab, and then it's gonna have motivation score. So if you select like a 5-level motivation score, that's going to be vacant property stacked with, liens, stacked with financial distress. Financial distress means credit scores under 600 or income is below $40,000. Going to be stacked with, so basically the motivation score is how many different motivations are on the property. If it's 3 motivations, it might be vacant, divorce, and financial distress. If it's 4 motivations, it could be the siege property that's vacant with a high interest rate adjustable rate mortgage on it. So that's where the motivation AF list is. You just filter by motivation score, 2 or more motivations, or 3 or more motivations, whichever you guys prefer.
Awesome. Talk to me
Yep.
a little bit about the AI, because I know that you were talking about the Kind AI and how you're starting to implement AI with your lists and that kind of stuff. What is it that exactly you're doing to like use AI in pulling lists and finding people?
Yeah, bro, that's a good question, man. Here's the thing, right? Like, I think the thing that most people get wrong is that, here's what differentiates people doing like $1 million a year versus like $8 million a year. Because I think we probably have 15 clients doing $8 million plus a year in home buying, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what differentiates them is like the people that are doing, like, let's just say 3.5 mil plus a year, they understand that the data is already tracked. Like if the KPIs weren't already tracked, then it's important to track KPIs. But in the real estate industry, it's very easy to track every single property that sold 50 cents on the dollar. It's very easy to track every property that was worth 400 but sold 200 for 200 grand yesterday. That was worth 400 that sold for 200 grand within the last 6 months. Of every single market across America, right? So what we do is we have 700 data points of homeowner nationwide. We know what political party they are before they sold. We know like if they were Republican or liberal before they sold. We know what was their net worth before they sold. We know what their income was before they sold. We know what their credit score was before they sold. We know what their job was. Were they in the medical field? Were they a mechanic? Were they a entrepreneur? Were they a banker? Right. So we know their occupation before they sold. We know what the house vacant before it sold, but what the equity percent before it sold. We know how many years did they own the property before they sold. We know what the interest rate was before they sold. We know if there was a lien on the property before it sold. We know 700 different data points of every single homeowner. So what we did was we created an algorithm. Well, we fed our computer data, and we told our systems, because I got 6 software developers that work for me full time. We fed our system every single property in America that where the houses have sold 50 cents on the dollar. And we're like, look at these 700 data points of every single of every single person that sold their house 50 cents on the dollar, and let's look at what all of them have in common. All right. And so what our human, brain can really only see can only really focus on 3 data points, right? Oh, attack delinquent, oh, code violation, there was water shut off, whatever the hell, right? But the computers can look at 700 data points of every single person and be like, holy shit, these are the frickin', 2 million properties that sold wholesale or whatever the numbers are in America. And like, this is what they all had in common. And so, typically it'll spit out like 15 different filters. Like, like just to summarize, I'll give you an example. A large group of people selling would be people that are unemployed with, so unemployed, single, and no kids, right? So for example, let's just say you were to offer them $200,000 for their house, cash. For them, well, I don't got any family in the area. I'm not working in the area. I don't have any kids. Nothing's keeping me in this house. And you're going to pay me all cash for the house? Oh, shit, I will accept that. Right. So that's one example of, people that are likely to sell their house 50 cents on the dollar. Another example are people that are older than 70 years old, but their occupation was a blue-collar worker their whole life. They were a mechanic, a police officer, sometimes they were like a realtor. Sometimes they were like, like a low earning realtor, right? Sometimes they were, whatever the hell, like a government job. So they were like a blue-collar worker their whole life. Worked for 40 years, and then all of a sudden, right? They're like these people. Right, they might not be motivated at the time, but here's the thing: if you were to offer them $200,000 for their 400 grand house, they're like, "Yeah, I'll take it." Why? Because the computer is actually able to track everybody that's likely to. Because like a lot of times when we look at the data, it's like, oh snap, not that they had some sort of motivation. No, it's just that they were highly likely to agree to sell. Like, what motivation about the dude with no job, no like. Even if the guy has money, right? No job, no kids, no family. It's just like nothing's holding him. The other one is, like the freaking blue collar, 70-year-old dude. Like nothing's, for them, like, hey, they're just highly likely to agree to sell their house 50 cents on the dollar. It's like, it's a crazy stat, but, that's what like a lot of people, will focus on. Like another, another good example is people with like dissolved LLCs, for example. People who has an LLC, but their LLC and the LLC owns the property, but the LLC is either inactive or dissolved. Another one is canceled voters, for example. Like the property says owner occupied on paper, but it's the person canceled their registration to be a voter, or the canceled voters registration say they moved out of county, moved out of state, because here's the thing about like absentee data: 80% of all deals come from absentees and vacants. That's another thing, right? So like 80% of every 80% of wholesale deals are actually from absentees, potential absentees, vacant, and potential vacants. Now the thing, because these are all rented and vacant houses, right? And like, what's the first thing someone's going to do? Are they going to sell the house they live in, or are they going to sell the house that they're renting, that's a second property, or a second house that they own that's vacant, right? So like, now here's the thing about rented and vacant house. Most people, they're like, oh, let's target like, people that own a house for 10 years or longer that are absentee. Like, so people will, say that because, that's just what makes sense, right? Logically it makes sense. But what do all the top people understand? What a lot of the top people understand is that like, hey, most people buying a rental property, think about it. They're people like you and I that get into the rental snap, called me at 2 a.m. to fix the toilet. Oh snap! The tenant couldn't pay the rent this month. Most people actually get out, like they'll buy a real estate course, they'll buy a house, and all of a sudden within 6 months they sell it. So like a lot of, like, for example, a lot of the absentee properties, a lot of people will buy a house at foreclosure for, like, let's just say 40 grand. And then they'll own the house for 6 months and they're like, oh shit, I don't want to like do the repairs on this thing. I thought I did because I saw people making big checks on it, but all of a sudden they're motivated to sell. So what we found is, like, whenever you filter, like what the data says, right? Because people lied, numbers don't. What we found is, like, when you're filtering like absentee owners, potential absentee owners, vacant and potential vacant, we like doing 6 months ownership or longer, but they paid $200,000 or less for the house. So like on kindcaptracing.com, you just go to last market sales price. People that paid under $200,000 for the house. The other thing the data says is focus on like 70 to 100% equity, including unknown equity. It's very rare. I don't know what it is, but it's like very rare for like a wholesale deal to happen between like 50 to 70% equity. Most of the wholesale deals that are happening are 70 to 100% equity, including unknown equity. Years of ownership, 6 months or longer. So
Josh,
they
let me ask
bought
you
the
a
house
quick
for
question
under.
because I'm probably not the only person who's wondering this and has some questions.
Yeah.
But can you kind of tell us why some of these houses get on that unknown equity list? Where does that come from? How does that start?
Yeah. So other the top guys in the industry will call this like the no data list, right? So typically it's like a quick claim deed transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens in the quick claim deed transfer, you can't see how much they put down on the property, and therefore you can't see what the equity percent is and stuff like that, right? So a lot of people will quick claim the property because like maybe the title is not good, or maybe they'll quick claim the property because the property is going through bankruptcy, or they'll quick claim the property because they're in a divorce situation, or they'll quick claim the property for because it's an inherited property and they're not too worried about the title, right? So the unknown equity contained a bunch of quick claim properties and sketchy ass transfers that there just happen to be deals within the unknown equity all the time. My buddy Carlos Reyes doing $8 million plus a year. This is his favorite list. Like, when I talked to him about the no data list, with AKA the unknown equity list, for him, he's like, dude, I closed like a 350 grand deal in the Bay Area, California on the no data list, AKA the unknown equity list. And he's like, dude, from unknown equity in the Bay Area, California, I closed a 250 grand deal, a 450 grand deal, a 250 grand deal, I'm like, damn, but all of your deals are above. Like, I was like, what's the lowest deal you closed? He's like 110, and he like multiply that by freaking like 50 deals.
But that
and so
also
like,
is because of Carlos Reyes' systems. That's not because of the data.
correct.
I want to make that clear. Is like, to everybody who's in here listening, like I have spent at one time I think I bought a list from a basically credit card and delinquent payment list for like a really expensive price for like people who are projected, right, again through AI,
Right.
to hit a certain, like, to fail on their payments, right? Like their data was showing inside of their life that this person is most likely going to go delinquent soon on a car payment, a house payment, or a credit card payment because of whatever history, and they had hit so many data points. And I had spent so much money, just buying that list. And to tell you the truth, the person that you're talking to on the phone isn't really that much different than just somebody on another list. People at the end of the day, like, you can buy the highest quality data and filter through the highest quality types of resources. But the bottom line is, if you don't know how to exit, if you don't know how to talk, and if you don't know how to present your offer correctly to these individuals, you could have the best data in the world. You could be buying the unknown equity list. You could buy any list. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be making six figures on deals. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands, like, you're talking about a very high level individual, but there's also
Yep.
people doing very high level deals, 6-figure plus deals, doing pay per click. They don't do any type of data buying, right? Like, they only do pay per click, lead generation, and they're closing 6-figure deals left and right, right? It's about the
Correct.
quality of the systems and the quality of the team that is putting these deals and structuring these deals together. Most likely, these aren't just cash deals. Like they're not just another cash deal, person talking on the phone. Like to do these types of deals, you have to have high quality exit strategies. You have to have high
Correct.
quality acquisition skills. So I just want to make sure that we're not giving misconceptions to everybody, thinking that if you just buy a certain list, all of a sudden you're gonna go from being broke to making six figures every single day. Like that process to get to that level takes time, and you have to have the experience and the skill set. And a lot of those times, these deals come from
Yep.
novations. And that's why Don is always up here on every day talking about novations. I know Carlos Reyes does a lot of novations. I
Yep.
know that Nick Perry does a lot of novations. I do a lot of novations. I know a lot of other people that Josh Chan knows doing a lot of novations. So a lot of these people that he's
Yep.
talking about on here doing 7-8 million, in a year, they're not just doing cash deals, guys. They're not wasting
Facts.
data. That's the whole thing. They're buying data from him, but they're not wasting any of the data on that sheet. Most of you all don't even sets yet to where you can utilize. It's not right now separating